was talk that and Hanson, the Hanson delegation, Ms. Kemet and Lisa Green, the town administrator, were working with getting a letter of support from our state reps. That part is we're still holding on that, but there, as Ms. Hill explained, there has been back and forth. And then at a certain point when Dr. Kowalski realized that he was going to be no longer chair and no longer a member of the committee as he was retiring, we tabled things until there was a new chair elected. There was, and Chair Evans, Chair Kemet and I met Friday before last on the 14th to do more work on finalizing that letter. But to Ms. Hill's point, any help that we can get in getting the state reps and the state senator to add that letter of support, my understanding was that they were working on it, but it's just, I think a lot of things in that interim time where we were waiting for the new chairs to be, because there's no guarantee that I was going to be the chair after the election or that Laura was going to be the chair after the election and Carl was not going to be there. So, but in that interim time, I think maybe that part slipped away, which I think is what Ms. Hill is asking about. But I just wanted to give that context that, work is continuing on it. It's obviously like a lot of things in local government, it takes a lot longer and there's a lot of other things that kind of get in the middle of it, but it's still being worked on. And like I said, Chair Evans, myself, and Chair Kemet met a little over a week ago to kind of restart that. But the letters from the reps is something we're still waiting for. So, all right, thank you.
Thank you. Chris?
Hi there, Chris Scriven, 363 School Street. Here for a few reasons. First of which, I want to just acknowledge Bruce Martin's tenure in the DPW. I have the privilege of my daily commute to drive through the center of town, drive by the park, the boulevard, Hobart's Pond, Memorial Field, right? Rotary. It's beautiful. And the dramatic transition during his tenure, is remarkable. And I just wanted to publicly thank Bruce for his dedication and commitment to our community. I also want to recognize Mary Beth Carter. I understand she's retiring soon. And I just want to thank Mary Beth for her commitment, her professionalism, the obvious master of a craft, and what she's brought to our community through the work she's done at different capacities. I remember Mary Beth coming to TJ's when I was a kid. We don't know each other too well, but Mary Beth always carries herself with grace and dignity and class. And I just think that now more than ever, we need to look to our leaders that display that and try to embody that and display that ourselves. The other reason I'm here is the reason I've been here in the past, is because we are living in a time when I believe outside forces are controlling how we see ourselves and how we see each other. I don't think our institutions can keep up with the speed of the disinformation that's swirling around. It has been for over a decade, right? I noticed that the Republican committee was here tonight. I thought it was a good time to come down and beg and plead and invite anybody that doesn't see this current administration as a threat to our rule of law and our Constitution to please join me in a public civil succession, maybe a series of discussions where nobody's trying to drink anybody's tears, nobody's trying to make anybody look bad. We're trying to work through some things that we disagree on. And maybe we could come up with a way to do it that could be modeled in different communities, right? So I think now is the time to speak up. And it's always been a belief by some that, the way to deal with false information is with more speech, right? That's not working. And it's not going to work in this day and age, unfortunately, given the technology, the social media and whatnot, right? That's just gets way ahead of us too fast. So I'm trying to come up with a solution for our community at least. And again, maybe one that could be modeled. To have people sit down, share common values and things that we, have experienced together, right? as a basis for a civil discussion that could really look at different things that we disagree about and work through them together. Provide, sources and information, again, over a series of time, so no one's getting surprised. That allows everybody to be heard the way they want to be heard. And again, the intent is to work through this so that we can get back to, being the community we were before all this stuff, just swept through and we've all felt it in some way or another. With family, friends, coworkers, it's there, right? So again, anyone that's would be willing to sit down and have these public discussions with me, please reach out. I'm sure you won't have a hard time getting a hold of me if you want to do that. But one way or another, I'd love to sit down because I think it's desperately needed. And finally, I need to ask our leaders to speak, right? Because, not saying something that's truthful is sometimes as bad as saying something that is untruthful yourself, right? We need to all speak up and say where we stand on this and work through it together, civilly. So, thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Can we call a brief recess? We're having technical issue. I just want to restart it.
Oh, sure. Call quick 5-minute recess. All right, folks, thank you for bearing with us while we dealt with the technical difficulties on the cable end. I guess we'll continue. Is there anyone else who would like to speak in public forum for something that's not on the agenda? All right, seeing none. New item we're adding to our agendas just to try to seek some volunteers, and we've got an audience today, so that'll be great. Board and committee vacancies. I can run through these quickly. We are seeking volunteers to serve on the AAA Advisory Committee, the Bylaw Study Committee, the Conservation Commission, the Community Preservation Committee, the Council on Aging, the Cultural Council, Historical Commission, Recreation Commission, and Recreation Commission. The exact terms and what type of delegate member they are printed on the agendas.
Okay, Mr. Chair?
Oh, and Mary Beth, two to add?
Yes,
That
I'd like to add a
Aren't
couple.
appointed by us?
Right, they're not appointed by the select board. However, there is an opening on the planning board, and that would be a joint meeting for that appointment between the planning board and the select board. If anybody's interested, they can reach out to Adam Somerville or to the select board's office. And the other opening is an opening on the FinCom, and that appointment is made by the town moderator, Mike Seeley. So if anybody is interested in that position, they can reach out to either Mike Seeley, the moderator, or Mike Warner, the chairman of the Finance Committee.
Thank you.
Yep.
And next item on the agenda, we have a presentation from the Whitman Republican Town Committee. So, Brian, I guess, take it away.
Good evening. Greetings, Mr. Chairman, and through you to the board. My name is Brian Bezanson, 74 Rock Street. Friend of this whole scenario for 18 years. Before I get started, I want to echo Mrs. Scriven's sentiment about you, Mary Beth.
Thank you.
I appreciate my 18 years, how we worked together. And it was smooth as silk. And I was very happy to hear that you got this job when you did. And it's been a pleasure over the years because I know we were in good hands with you. So I wish you well in retirement. And I'm sure you won't be knitting in a rocking chair.
No, that's not what I'm thinking.
You'll be enjoying the grandkids and everything else. So
Thank you.
I just wanted to wish you well personally for that. But I come to you as the Public Relations Coordinator for the Whitman Republican Town Committee. We have in attendance the chair, vice chair, secretary, and some of the members, including Mr. Sapucci. We, over the years, I'd say probably 20, 25 years, we've met at the Whitman Senior Center. Very gracious over the many directors that have been there to allow us to do that. And we're thinking of how could we give back to the community. And what could we do? And we thought about it, and Mr. Scriven, the vice chair, came up with a great idea because they just redid the whole porch, steps, everything, and we noticed there was no flag. So I talked to the director, who we invited tonight, but she's obviously couldn't make it tonight. She said that she'd be delighted if we could do something like that. So with the help of Joe Scriven, the vice chair, he had some good connections with the Legion flag out of South Carolina. There, it's an all-American flag company. They are the highest quality you can get. So if you see this, I'm not going to open it up because you all know what it looks like. But there's a tube there, and it's a regular size flag with the pole and the hardware and the mounting bracket. And we discussed that we wanted to do this for the committee, from the committee to the town and the citizens, for one, allowing us all the years of meeting there, and we left it better than we found it sometimes. But it was something that we thought would be a good idea considering the 250th anniversary of the country. And so we thought it was perhaps the best thing to do. But then we realized when we were having our meetings there once a month and we looked up to do the Pledge of Allegiance, there was no flag inside anymore. And I asked the director, and she said that it was because the big bottom is a tripping hazard for the seniors. And that made a lot of sense because when my kid was younger, they were in Boy Scouts and tripped over that thing and put their teeth through their lips. So I get it. I understand that. We don't need that. So we came up with a good idea of, and I'll let Joe hold it up. It's a small size flag, about 18 by 24, I think, or something like that, maybe a little less. But the quality is fantastic. And we talked to the director, and she said, we suggested over the opening to where the kitchen and the seating area, there's a cutout, and it fits perfectly right up on top. Nobody can trip over it. It can be there permanently, and it won't be in the way because I know space is a concern back there. So, so we got both, and we want to, on behalf of the Whitman Republican Town Committee, donate it to the town and the citizens, thanking them for allowing us to use the facilities for so many years. I've been with the group since about 2002. I've been the chair, vice chair, and all around pain in the butt. So it's been an honor and a privilege to be with the group. And I just had a little thing here that what Mr. Scriven brought up was about the politics. Whatever our individual political beliefs may be, the American flag belongs to all of us. It represents the country, the freedoms, and the community that we share. And that's why we thought it was a good idea. Simple, it's not partisan, it's everybody's flag. So we thought it was a good idea. We hope you accept it, and maybe you can have one of your guys put it up.
Absolutely.
We don't want to do that. So on behalf of the Republican Town Committee, we respectfully present these flags to the citizens with our gratitude and best wishes as we celebrate America's 250th anniversary. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to accept a gift of American flags on behalf of the Whitman Republican Town Committee.
I will make that motion.
Second. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous.
Excellent.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, we have act on the application of AA Inc., doing business as Amante Pizzeria for a common victim's license on the premises located at 785 Bedford Street, subject to the receipt of license agreement and final approval of the Board of Health, Fire Chief, and Building Commissioner. Is anyone from Amante?
I am here.
Hi, please introduce yourself. And
My name is Amgad Yacoub of 83 Whiting Ave, Whitman, Mass. And soon is going to be 785 Bedford Street. I've been in this business for well over almost 20 years now. I lived in Whitman since 2000. So when the chairs come in to acquired that from the States, so I jumped on it, and then I'm looking forward to opening a new store. It's going to be a Monty Pizzeria, which is Old Crystals.
Thank you. Do we have any questions from the board? Okay. I'll entertain a motion to approve the application subject to the conditions that I read off a minute ago.
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
All those in favor?
Fine, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
And we have a public meeting regarding the application of Mina Hana doing business as King Mina LLC for a livery license and livery driver's certificate on the premises located at 24 Linden Street, subject to the receipt of license fees. Come on up and introduce yourself.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mina Hanna. I just moved from Whitman last January. So I have been here like 1 year. And this first time I open company transportation, King Mina LLC. So I try to make good service for public people. I'm sorry for this first time I talk like this. I'm sorry. My English second language. I wish give it good service for people.
Do we have a motion to, it's a public meeting, so do we have any questions from the board? Questions from the public? All right, I'll entertain a motion to,
Absolutely, motion.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Congratulations, good luck.
Congratulations.
And a couple of these, public meeting regarding the application of Therian Properties LLC, Daniel J. Therian for a rooming house license on the premises located at 29 Whitman Avenue. And if approved, act to rescind the rooming house license for Whitman House LLC, Dennis and Donna Bowen on the premises located at 29 Whitman Avenue, effective upon the new license being issued to Therian Properties. So, hi.
Hi, I'm Daniel Tarian. Me and my dad, who's also in the audience, own 15 through 23 Whitman Ave, Whitman. Just looking to add 29 Whitman Ave to our portfolio. So, yeah, we're supposed to close on Friday.
Excellent. Do you have any questions from the board? The audience? All right, seek a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And to seek a second motion to rescind the rooming house license for Whitman House LLC on the premises located at 29 Whitman Avenue.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Oh,
Clarifying question, does that need to be subject to any date? Or
that one is effective upon the new license being issued. Thank you, Dawn.
Okay,
That way that they're not without a rooming
transition.
license. Yeah.
Yes, okay. Thank
All
you.
right. So making that change,
Yes.
Dawn makes a motion.
Second.
Sean seconds.
Mhm.
All right. Now all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
And chairman's report. So I'm going to take something not on the agenda out of order first, and I wanted to recognize Mary Beth. So, Mary Beth, you have been the town administrator here for 3.5 years now.
3.5.
But with a long history of the town, you were the treasurer collector when I first joined the finance committee, and were always the most prepared department head when you came to present to us. And you've lived up to that reputation in every role you've served in town. I just want to thank you, personally for being such a person I can reach out to with any questions. I think it was reciprocal.
Yeah.
But I never doubted that you had the best intentions of the town at heart. Anytime with any decision that you made, it was always very clear that you were doing what you truly believed was the right decision. And it was always, the questions you asked me were always, how do I deliver the bad news, and never, what do I do here? So it's refreshing to have someone who has such a clear focus on the strength of the town. So I want to personally thank you.
Thank you.
Pass
very
you this,
much.
and Sean, do you mind? Oh, it's on my side. Got
Thank you.
the board
Oh,
plus
that was
Carl, Matt, and Lori
Oh.
to get you a gift. Thank you.
It's been a good run, about 23 years with the town altogether, and I'll be turning 65, and it's time to spend more time with my grandchildren, so I'm excited. But it's been great. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Back to routine business. So I was going to talk about the Inspector General's letter. I think we discussed that in public forum. Ryan answered better than I probably would have. However, I do. Oh, yeah.
Clarifying question. So you, as Ryan said, you met maybe a week and a half ago or
Yeah.
so.
So has the letter been submitted to the Inspector General? I had a,
No, so we did discuss it. It was the day before Laura left for vacation, Chair Kemet and Hanson. So it was, I believe it's currently with Ryan to make some amendments that we discussed. Actually, that one of your suggestions that we included in the letter at the last, the June 15th meeting,
okay,
was being incorporated. And then when she's back, I think we'll circle back around. And I believe all of our boards have given us authority to sign on behalf of the boards. So it's a matter of just getting together and sending it. But I will, to both Ryan and Rosemary's point, I will reach out to our state delegates, and I'll ask that either Ryan or Laura do the same for the Hanson folks, to make sure we get those letters of support as well. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I did post all chairs meetings. So I think later in the agenda we intended to set the meeting schedule for September. If the board doesn't mind doing that now, so we can try to pick another Tuesday for the all chairs meeting. I mentioned this one back in, was this June?
yeah.
Maybe July, yeah. Let's call an all chairs meeting sometime after the new town administrator started, to invite all of the elected and appointed committee chairs.
David. There's no picture.
Oh, we're still, okay.
That
Yeah,
was 21 minutes ago.
oh, I think that was when they stopped it
It was
earlier.
21 minutes ago. So.
Okay.
That, when I muted
Delayed
this, I can't
response.
hear it.
So yeah, my intent when the new town administrator started was to call a meeting of all elected and appointed committee chairs to first meet Sabrina, and then discuss any ways that we can work better together, anything that they're missing. The first thing that came to mind, what I've heard recently, has been, a central point of contact, an email, planning board at whitmanma.gov, something like that, or building access. As people have changed over, I think that, the practices that we've done in the past was the chair, at least of every committee, has access to the building to lock up after meetings. So I think that's the kind of like the basics, get together, get to meet each other, and move forward from there. So with that said, do we have a couple of dates we can meet for the select board in September, and then a date for the potential all chairs meeting that the full select board would be invited to? I think it would be posted as a select board meeting, but then the intent would be to invite the chairs, or if they couldn't make it, the vice chairs of all the other elected and appointed boards.
I can do any of the dates except for the 22nd.
I can't do the 22nd either, so that's good to know. How about the 8th and the 29th for the select board, and then the 15th for the all chairs? Does that make sense
Yes.
to everybody?
I'm available for all that. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, 29th and what else?
8th and the 29th for select board. For September 15th, do a all chairs select board meeting, inviting the chairs of all
On the 15th?
on the 15th. That would be the only item on the agenda. And for that meeting, I'd like to start at 6 o'clock, just anticipating, I don't even know how many boards and committees we have that could go on. So,
Okay.
be an early start, but Christy and I talked about it downstairs, it's not always easy.
And we're assuming that Sabrina is available on Tuesdays?
I think that we expect Sabrina to be available Tuesday evenings.
Goes with the job.
For the foreseeable future.
Thank you, Sabrina.
Thank you. All right. If you guys are okay, I'd like to take a few items out of order before the old business, just to move a few more people out of the audience first.
Sure.
So first, act on the request of Brianna Connors of B Community Inc. to hold art in the park at the Whitman Town Park gazebo area on Saturday, September 26th, 2026, from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. and an additional 1 hour before and 1 hour after for setup and breakdown time. So,
Yes.
hi.
Hi.
You're
Yes.
not.
You did good. That's what it is. We're B Community. We are based out of East Bridgewater. Down the street, we applied for a grant from MCC LCC. We got it from Whitman. We applied for art in the park. It will be like a 3-piece horn band in the gazebo. We'll have a live artist. We'll have a communal art project, and we're not expecting it to be massive. We have like 15 people coming to help, and then whoever kind of shows up. We did all the paperwork. I think we did everything. That's our job. But yeah, I think so. So that's what it is. You said the date, September 26th.
Yep.
A couple hours.
Awesome.
Okay, do you have a rain date or location?
We don't. We have a rain or we have a like a drizzle or shine. So
Okay.
we have some tents. If it drizzles and it's off and on, we're going to do it. If not, we're probably going to find a backup around in a hall or something just to have it. But the cool thing is we get to hire local artists because of the grant. So it's local supporting local, like all over the place. So we get to hire musicians that are local. We get to hire artists that are local and give back to the community that way.
So, Dawn.
Thank you for applying for that grant through
Yeah.
the Cultural Council. I wanted to extend an opportunity to promote the event because we have an electronic sign in front of the town hall. So if there's a flyer that you have or some formatting that's, large enough that it's legible,
Yeah.
not with
We
too
do.
small of a font.
Yeah.
If you want to send that in to us, we can promote that event for you.
Who do I send it to?
Could send it
That's a
to
good question.
We've been emailing with
Lori
Lori?
O'Brien.
That's
Is that
perfect.
good?
She
Yes,
can get it to
in the
us.
select board's office.
Okay.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
want it to be a success for
Yay.
you, so
Okay.
thank you very
Yeah.
much. That's
Thank
1
you.
to 4
1 to 4
on the 26th.
on the 26th. Yeah, so I'll need a motion to, whatever we needed to approve there. Allow them to hold art in the park at the gazebo.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Huh?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
All right, and then one more I wanted to take out of order to get him on his way. Act on the proposed increase to the building department fees. Jim, you want to come up and speak about those?
Hello. 15% when we started. So,
I believe the fees are in your packets, but Jim, you want to give us a quick rundown of what the proposal is and when the last time we updated them was?
The last time that they were updated, I believe, was in 2019. And we're just looking to increase, not all of them. Residential building permits, we're looking to increase it from 12 to 15 per thousand. Commercial, 15 to 18 per thousand. Demo permits, looking to increase them from 50 to 75. Looking to increase the reinspection fees for building, electrical, plumbing. Actually, building and electrical, we're looking to increase them. Building would be 50 to 100. Electrical would be 75 to 100 for reinspection fees as well. Certificate of occupancy, we're looking to increase for residential from 40 to 50. And thought we had one in there for commercial as well.
Looks like 75 for commercial.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, we're looking to increase that, I believe. But then under electrical, again, we wanted to increase the reinspection fees from 75 to 100. And we're looking to add application fees to these for 100 for residential and 150 for commercial.
What would that application fee, that would be for new construction?
It's new, just for the permit application itself.
The permit application.
Yes. Whether it's commercial or residential, any commercial, any permit application actually. Plumbing right now, it's 3 fixtures for 50. We're looking to basically charge 50 for 1 fixture, or per fixture basically. And then on top of the 3 fixtures, we would have an increase additional fixture, and we're looking to add $5 to that from 15 to 20. And again, we're looking to add a reinspection fee of 100, which again, we didn't have any reinspection fees and other towns do it, so we're just, again, this is all based off of, towns in the area. And then same with gas, we're just looking to increase it from 15 to 20 per appliance, and again, a reinspection fee of 100.
Thank you and Chris Hurley for doing your research on this.
Yeah, thank you.
Any questions from the board?
Well, I have a couple of questions.
Yeah.
Now, these increased fees, this is for, say, a homeowner, water tank lets go, and they have to call a plumber in to put in a new water tank.
Yep.
Does that apply to this situation? Or if a furnace goes and they have to put in a new furnace?
Yeah, I mean, so in that situation, we have, so a water heater is considered a fixture. So again, it was 1 to 3 fixtures was $50. Now we're just looking to get $50 per fixture, basically. So,
In other words,
so the cost would, in that instance, the cost would be the same.
so, right, so if it's first
So
water tank.
It's going to be more or less like for new builds and stuff like that, where you're getting 3 and 4
Right,
bathrooms.
new building, but I'm talking about if senior has their water tank is leaking and they have a call a plumber and they come in, disconnect it, disconnect the old one, get rid of it.
Yeah.
Put a new one in, they have to pay.
Well, I mean, the contractor should be paying the
contractor
fee,
does,
but it's, again, in that situation, the fee would be the same. It's a $50 flat rate fee.
Yeah.
So.
So if it's an emergency, the plumber comes out on a Sunday, they can't get a permit, that means they can't fix it?
If it's an emergency, they can do the job. They just need to file for the permit when we're open, that's all.
Okay.
Yeah, no, we don't, anything that's an emergency, we don't stop anyone.
I do have a question. Say with the new school that's being built, we don't charge any fee for that. But how often are you there? Like once a week or like once a month? Or...
Probably a couple times a month.
Okay, so not like you're
Not
out
there, not there constantly, no.
Okay.
Those projects there, they're over 35,000 square gross feet or whatever, so it's third-party review. Basically, engineers and stuff are signing off on all those types of projects.
Okay.
I do my inspections, but again, I sign off, but they also sign off in the end with, affidavits and all that stuff.
Seek a motion to approve the new fee structure as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous. Thanks, Jim.
All right, thank you guys.
Thanks, Jim.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And let's circle back to old business now. So Eric Dresser, WHCA Access Agreement. Welcome back, Eric.
Yes. Deja vu.
Yeah, is Arlene still? There she
This is
is.
over here.
Sure. So you were here at our last meeting, presented the updated agreement. We had some questions, and you sent us a nice summary memo, which we really appreciated. Now you're back. So anything else you'd like to reiterate from last time?
For the sake of the public who didn't see the sort of philosophical roadmap of the changes from the old agreement to the new agreement. And ultimately, I'm glad it happened because it's not only a matter of you all understanding that, but this is a long agreement, and we have a change in town administrator. So I think it's good for there to be a little bit of explanation and backstory about that. And of course, we look forward to continued work with you all and with the new town administrator, and getting that relationship going and sharing our exciting history and continuing our important work.
Any discussion from the board before I entertain a motion? You had some back and forth with council, yeah.
I'll chime in here. I want
Sure.
to thank Eric for being so patient the last couple weeks, and I did have a chance to reach out to him one-on-one and visit the studio and so forth, and it wasn't for any reason of doubting the work that you do. Obviously, I know the work you do is outstanding, your team, what WHCA offers the community. So this discussion isn't at all to question or diminish that work. It's more as an elected board member to do the due diligence, because this is a 10-year contract, which is what we talked about. So what you mentioned, Chair, I had asked a clarifying question in regards to the agreement, because some language from the prior agreement to this agreement had changed, which more or less had an automatic holdover, if you will, of the contract. So legal offered an edit to the agreement and provided a new clean copy, which includes some language about notification to the other party if there's an intent to not extend this agreement. So again, I think it's most important, especially in the area of technology, but with any type of contract we're entering into over a period of 10 years, we don't know what's happening in the future, right? And as the agreement was written 2 weeks ago, there was really no basis for negotiation or changing the terms of the agreement unless there was any breach of the agreement or bankruptcy or malfeasance and so forth. So I wanted the town to have the opportunity to have the ability to in essence, in 10 years, renegotiate the terms of the agreement if whoever is sitting at this table in 10 years feels the need to do so. I felt like I couldn't agree to that agreement 2 weeks ago and locking in, right, the future. That being said, there's some questions I still have around the model that we use here, as far as the building that WHCA operates out of is a Whitman town building. You know, there are other town buildings that we've had a circumstance too, where we've offered it up to nonprofits, and we've just gone through that with the Corthell building, which is vacant now, but hopefully, you know, the town will be able to reuse it. Part of the initial history of WHCA was that when Hanson and Whitman combined for this property, Hanson provided a vehicle, which was the truck. That vehicle is, from my understanding from Eric, it's no longer necessary based on equipment changes, and the truck was sold. So I really would want to further understand, and Hanson has their own agreement with WHCA, so Whitman has ours, Hanson has theirs, and then we also have licensing with Comcast, which also makes me very concerned about what would happen with that licensing down the road, right? How is technology changing? We talk about how the fee structure is diminishing, and I just think the lost opportunity for potential revenue with the town. Right now, there is payment based on the amount of real estate taxes, but that parcel of land owned by the town could be of value at some point in the future. The models that other towns have, Abington and Rockland, run their cable access out of their public schools in those individual towns. Halifax, Carver, and Plimpton have a 3-town community access, and they lease commercial building to operate out of. So our model by using our town building is unique. So those are just some sort of my findings on my research and what we've done. But I appreciate the attorney adding the language that it leaves the opportunity for the town to negotiate this agreement, and it doesn't automatically carry over, is my understanding.
To clarifying on that, did Mary Beth, did Nancy actually amend it, or did she just accept comments?
did.
She did.
Yeah.
She
I'd
did,
like
yeah,
to speak
section
to that as
2.
well.
Yeah.
The intent with those changes was not to have an auto-renewing agreement, but as we find ourselves 2 years outside of the agreement now, it was to say that we would operate under the terms of this existing agreement until a successor agreement is installed. That said, I think that Nancy's insertions do clarify that. and take out any ambiguity that might have been there about them.
WTA's board would need to vote this separately.
They already
They
did.
did.
We
Already
convened
did.
last night.
Oh, excellent. Great. And so I'm gonna take a second. I do disagree with Dawn's concern about the building. I think that if you compare, Whitman's ownership of the Park Avenue School versus the Corthell building, which Corthell much more closely models our agreement with WHCA, we received a building back in much better condition under the Corthell agreement than when we let a building sit vacant like the Park Ave. So I do think this is a mutually agreeable contract, right? WHCA has provided, especially through COVID, a lot more value to the town than I think many of its peers had to its neighboring communities. Recently, rewired a lot of our AV equipment in the building. So I would seek a motion to approve the contract presented before us.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion there?
Yeah, I'd like
Yeah.
to say, I was chair of the Board of Selectmen when we purchased that building for $1 plus the equipment. The cable access, when Hanson asked to join cable access because they didn't want, Comcast was ready to send them to Hanover, and they said it was too far. They would like to combine Whitman and Hanson because of the school system the same way, and the towns are next to each other. And I said, okay. I looked at other town buildings, like you're saying, the Cortell building, right? Where we had a school there, special school there, right? They were supposed to pay, what, $1 a year?
So,
Never saw a dime. But it's not the point. It's just that. Cable Studio has built in a garage, all new equipment. It's cost the town nothing. They get their money from Comcast that when whoever has Comcast in their home, they pay it on their bill and it goes right to.
passes through to us.
Right,
And then
so I don't think we can have a better deal on anything else. I mean, they do a lot for the community, all the different meetings, selectmen's meetings, and they used to do South Shore Tech, but now we have a different type, but I mean, they still put it on cable. I don't think we could ever get a better deal. So, I have no issues.
Well, thank you, Don, for being so thorough. I think it's definitely an asset to have somebody on the committee who's so thorough going through a contract. And, I think it's really valuable to go back and forth with legal and with you guys on the side to kind of work out some of those details. I think that's very helpful. And as uncomfortable as this conversation is, further down on the agenda, we're going to be talking about the FY28 budget, and the FY28 budget does not look good. So having people on the committee that are actively looking for ways to potentially find some revenue, I think is essential. For this particular one, I think the value that WHCA brings is greater than simply the money that we could, this relatively small amount of money that we could get from that building. I don't want to be in the business of selling property during a difficult time. I think that's we've kind of talked about that in the past. And I don't want to be in the business of selling buildings that the town has owned for years for $100,000 to help a little bit of a budget that is just going to create a whole, and the relatively small amount of revenue that we could get and what they provide in return, I think the value of having these guys in our community and to play a role even with like tonight's meeting is really, really valuable to me. I grew up watching cheesy videos of like the haunted house and stuff like that at the middle school, but we're going to have to be thinking along these lines. We're going to have to be looking through everything to make sure that we get the best value for every dollar that we're spending. And on this particular issue, I kind of disagree a little bit, but I think we need to be doing that thoroughly.
I think my final feedback would be that Whitman is providing this real estate property, in essence, with very small revenue coming back, which is the equivalent of about $5,000 a year, which is the property taxes on it. And I just ask if it's a partnership with Whitman Hanson Community Access, what is the contribution, right, that Hanson is putting into this to add value and to support the contribution that Whitman is putting in, which is providing a town property. That's what I don't see. That's what I don't see. And some would say, well, Whitman is getting $5,000 in the equivalent of property tax rent. Well, if we rented it out to someone else, we would still be getting that, right? And I'm not looking to displace WHCA, and I'm not looking to discredit the work they do. Again, it's just about the opportunity here. And just a few months ago, we were talking about selling buildings, right? So that's not what I want to do either, but just recognizing what Whitman is giving.
Again, as we were looking to sell vacant buildings. That's not vacant. It's something that gives to the community.
So, I think we've got a.
I just wanted to add
Harleen.
something, that over 20 years, we've done extensive renovation on that property
Yeah.
at no cost to the town, and on the entire property, inside and out.
Right. We appreciate that.
And, I'll just continue and say that, also, I think you guys saved an asset from leaving the town, for $1. Dan, you and Frank were able to get that building and retain that here in town. What a win, what a steal that was. Because otherwise, everybody that wanted these services would have been going to Hanover for them. Also, do you think you were going to get the same level of service going to Hanover that you get from us right down the street? I think it's like going to the local hardware store or going to a big one with a .com. You're going to get a much more personal experience. And we're proud to do it.
Ready to vote? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? 4-1. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. We will
Thanks, yeah.
give you a signed copy of this.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll sign it.
Yeah. Actually, on Jay deletes all this.
No.
By select board, just me. And next item on the agenda, Tom Hickey, South Shore Technical High School presentation. You arrived just in time.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, pass it down to her.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Thanks for having me tonight. I was last with you back in March, giving you an update on the building project, and at the time, talk about regional agreement changes. Those regional agreement changes didn't go forward with the town of Pembroke, so we still have enough on our plate to talk about the building project. Essentially, I want to be able to get to the part of the presentation where you're asking me what time it is, and I might spend a few slides building the clock. So let me just try to hustle through some of these slides first and then get to what would be most pressing for you. We started prepping the site this spring. We're in construction now through the summer of '28 with the new school opening for the 28-29 school year, and then demo and fields construction in the front takes place during that year. The one nugget that I can say is good news to start is that with about 75% of the bids in, the locked-in numbers are about $13 million below estimates. And so that's a good sign as contractors are sharpening their pencils. So I'll take that as really good news once we're done and it's really all locked in. As we know, we're looking at other economic factors that could influence us. Project website, my phone number, email address. Folks in town have any questions, they should feel free to reach out to me in whatever way is most convenient. What I hope to answer for you tonight, or at least frame the questions and not have all the answers. When do we bond the debt for this project? Do we wait, bond it later, stagger the bonds? That's what our financial advisor is about to tell our school board with some options. No decision is imminent, but likely later this fall. How aggressively should we pay back the debt? That obviously matters at the household level when we're talking about Level debt means it's easier on the pocketbook in the short term, it's heavier on the interest in the long term. And where does Whitman fit into this projected town share when it comes to when are you going to bond and what's your payback model? And if ultimately debt is excluded, what might that look like at the household level? And just as a refresher to end, just a few slides on how is a town's enrollment tied to debt share? And I hope you'll feel comfortable interrupting and not waiting till the end. If there's something at the moment, I truly don't mind.
We'll interrupt.
Please do. Please do. I've got a few slides that say the same thing. Choose which one is more interesting to you, this eye chart or some pretty bar charts later. Our financial advisors are saying that we could probably start bonding in where the locked-in rates would start in fiscal 28 or in fiscal 29. And you'll see June or December mentioned as the actual month where the action might take place. Those columns, new money ban, a bond anticipation note, we're paying interest only. Sometimes you can renew a ban for a short period of time and then you bond it. So although I'm left-handed, for some reason use my right hand to circle these in red to draw your eye to, on the left chart, there you can see I've circled like 3 bonding numbers. So that's hey, stagger the bonds, spread out the risk, don't wait too late, lock in some money, see what the market looks like. And then there's a cleanup bond at the bottom for a 15.7, which would be money after the MSBA audit at the very, very end. The chart on the right tells almost the same story, except you'll notice in the right-hand column, there's one big honkin' bond for about 149 million. That's why don't you just ban a little longer and wait. So our financial advisor is going to come in and essentially make this presentation to our school board. You're getting a kind of advanced look at it, which I think is great. I think it's important for this community, given your thoughts on looking at excluding the debt for our project or not. The next 2 charts tell the same exact story. Every red arrow in this borrowing scenario simply says, oh, here's where you're bonding in smaller chunks. Okay. And this chart simply tells the second story, which is you're waiting until June of 28. It's still costing. I mean, there's still money rolling on. But it's essentially the light blue is your bond anticipation note. Your dark blue is you're renewing that, paying interest a little bit longer. So these are a couple of models that have been worked out, and then you close it out after the MSBA audit. What I found, when I was asking my follow-up questions to the advisor on this, I was trying to get a handle on, is starting the bonding a year early going to have a significant impact at the local level? And my takeaway is probably not. It's more about risk with interest rates versus a major aha moment. It's the payback model that would make more of the difference. So that's the make the clock now. Let's see what time it is. This is a busy chart, and if I focus your attention, I'm going to leave these 2 columns alone. I wanted to give you all the numbers so that this presentation is a little dense for chitter chatter, but afterwards, if you look at this or you have a printout, you can dive into all of these numbers. So this is what our district debt share total might look like. And if you look down the left-hand column, you'll see I was very selective after like fiscal 31. I then started to pick some years until it rolls off in 58. But you can see as your eyes go down, you can see, oh, okay, I get it. If we pay equal principal, look at fiscal 29. It's the difference between over 13 million in the aggregate versus 10.8. If you pay level payments, it's lower, but you notice these 10s continue. And so what I'm noticing is that by fiscal 41, as my cursor goes across here, it's in fiscal 41 where the aggressive equal principal model ends up now from fiscal 41 on, now you're talking about something that's cheaper. And my comment at the bottom is, as I said, the bonding year probably doesn't make an immediate difference. The delta between these models using a single uniform interest rate for 30 years, take it for what it's worth. Grab the salt on that. Grab the salt on what my next slide will be, which is enrollment share. But there's probably about a $27 million aggregate difference between paying back level debt payments and paying back equal principal payments. And the other small point I'd like to make is if the district bonds multiple times, it doesn't have to make one decision
on the strategy for payback. Maybe the economy's soft and our towns are giving us feedback like, no, make this as affordable as possible. Level debt pay the first tranche of money that you're bonding and revisit it in 6 months or revisit it in 12 months. That's ultimately not a one-time, you've got to decide once for the next couple of years how you're going to borrow, how you're going to pay the money back. This slide now starts to bring it even closer to home. We go from the aggregate to what about Whitman? So my projection, and I brought you similar numbers in past presentations, as we bring on the town of Marshfield and there is an adjustment to enrollment, what I did was make some reasonable projections, this column here, Whitman's share of the enrollment. Not in any one year, but using a 4-year look back, which I'll end briefly with just reminding you what that's all about. So if you want to start talking about, what are we talking about in terms of an annual debt share for the town of Whitman in a particular year, you can start by looking at here with fiscal 28. Fiscal 27 has strike-throughs because we're covering interest costs internally with interest income and some stabilization. So if you want to follow these two columns down, you can see pick your aggressive or less aggressive model. And again, I was selective in these years. I think the point is with level debt payments, this 2.2 hovers for a while. And then it begins to drop off in fiscals 57 and 58. And you can see the more aggressive number. Done, sure.
And just to confirm, your South Shore Tech School Committee will make that decision.
That's correct. What I've been saying since before this project is approved is that when we got to this point, through whether it's me, through town administrators, and town administrators take the pulse of their select boards and communities, but this is not a decision to make in a bubble. And so as I've reached out to Mary Beth over the last couple of years and will continue to do so, before our school board makes any decision, I want to feel confident saying to them that either they have reached out to their own communities or I have reached out, so that we truly are not siloing a significant decision. But you are correct on that is, that's the
So
decision.
they'll decide whether it's level debt payments or equal principal payments, how you're financing it, but then the town will get the bill.
That's correct.
And we're responsible to pay that.
That is
from
correct.
our funding source.
That is correct.
That we have to decide.
So from the district debt to Whitman's share as a town, and then this slide attempts to bring it down further. I want to thank Mary Beth. She caught something. I made a mistake on this slide. Of all words to mess up, it said monthly cost and it should have said annual. So Mary Beth had a slight heart condition, called me and said, Tom, did you pick the right word? I said, whoops, I did not. So it is annual. So now here we are at the household level. And you can, again, if we just focus on the 28 column, you can look at 29, but I think for the purposes of follow the enrollment. Now, you'll notice all of these numbers are the same because I cannot reasonably tell you. I can tell you that with no other towns coming on board and all demand being equal, we'll see a leveling off. So that's why it's kind of frozen at this 14.5%. So you can see the difference between if a school board decided, I don't care how often we bond, we're always going to bond level debt. So we take those big numbers and we throw it into the DOR calculator, and we come out with this for the fiscal 26 average assessed home. And you can see the delta, and once again, here we are around fiscal 41, I'm noticing that the equal principal payments start to drop below the level debt payment number, and they continue, again, in like 5-year bands, they continue to scale down. And I can run reports for you all that take this and break it down granular for every year, and you can look at totals at the bottom, certainly. So yeah, that takes it down to the household level. And then the last couple of slides are, when I talk about enrollment, our regional agreement does a 4-year look back. So this eye chart here, pick whatever year you'd like. If we're prepping this fall for fiscal 28, we're going to look at the October 1 reports that fell within fiscals 26, 25, 24, and 23. And so on and so on and so on. That's how one year always drops off and another year emerges. Because sometimes I confuse myself with saying fiscal year and October 1 number, this chart says the exact same thing. So literally, when we're doing the fiscal 28 budget and we're trying to calculate Whitman's share, we would look at the October 1 enrollment numbers from these calendar years. which of course fall in the fiscal years that are a different date. So 10/1/22 falls in fiscal 23, and so on and so on. So for me to be able to say, yes, Whitman, there continues to be that market correction I've talked about for the last couple of years of Whitman's enrollment. There are fewer unused seats, et cetera. And so you will see a smaller share of the debt, at least through the plateau. Sean?
If you're prepping for 28, why wouldn't you use October 26?
Yeah, the way that we wrote the agreement is we wanted to we actually had it 1 year older just because that number was set. And the other small reason, which I may have, did I put it on this chart here? No, I'm sorry, I didn't make this point on this chart. We also factor in Marshfield's enrollment. Through fiscal 32, we take Marshfield's current enrollment. So I wanted to be able to come in and say, I can tell you exactly what Whitman's share will be for fiscal 28, but what I need to do is wait for the 10/1/26 Marshfield number to calculate the haircut. And then we apply that to lower the number. So there is a lag.
It would be better for us if we're using 26 instead of 25, for sure. But that's how it's written in the agreement?
Yes. So anyway, that's kind of the back of the house in terms of how we get to those percentages. But we'll be able to update the projections that I would have made for fiscal 28. I'll give you a more refined number once I get those Marshfield numbers. Last slide. Thank you.
Thank you. And timely, because 2 items down on the agenda, we're considering a special town election for a debt exclusion. So feel free to stick around.
Feel free to have me back. If you'd like me to stick around, I can. But
any questions for Tom from the board?
I see Tom and
Yeah. All right.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you, Tom.
All right. Thank you all.
Thank you, we appreciate it.
Okay. Appreciate it.
Next item, act to appoint John Casey as a member of the Bylaw Study Committee for the remainder of a 1-year term through June 30th, 2027 in order to fill an existing vacancy. This was held over from our last meeting.
Second.
Any further discussion on this? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. All right, set dates for special town meeting, special town election. Mary Beth, what have we learned?
Okay, so we did reach out to the town clerk today just to verify the dates, and we're looking at January, and the date for the special town meeting would be January 25th, 2027, with the election the following Saturday on June 30th of 2027.
January 30th.
I'm sorry, what did I say?
June.
I'm going to June again, January 30th, 2027. Yeah, and those two would be so close, which, you know, the discussion will be fresh from the meeting right to the debt exclusion vote on the election.
Yeah, I guess for, we also asked about the potential costs of special town meetings and special town elections. So,
Right.
I have an email on that.
No,
Do you remember
that's
that?
okay. I do.
Yeah.
Ron said about $1,000 for a special town meeting, and I believe she said 16,000 for a special town
That's right.
election.
The potential purposes that we would need a special town meeting, I know the board was kind of on the fence about that last time, was conservation land, potential CPC project on Jacobs Lane. What else was on there?
voting on South Silver Tech.
Well, that doesn't need a meeting, that needs an election.
Right, oh, yeah.
But
Regional agreement.
regional agreement, and I think by January we may have a shot at having something to present. That's probably the most important reason. There's also an emergency bill from the schools that just came in.
Correct. Pitney Bowes.
Pitney Bowes contract we'd like to extend. So it was a bunch of little items that may not itself necessitate the need, other than the regional agreement, for a special town meeting, but at a cost of $1,000, if we can piggyback it to remind people that there's a special election coming up. In my mind, it was worth considering. I don't know what the rest of the board feels.
And we have that emergency bill from the
And the emergency
district
bill from the
that
district.
just came in.
We would rather not make them wait until May. So I think these are posted together because I think considering it together. So on the special town election, it would be for the debt exclusion. I think the last time we discussed it, the board agreed that it was worth asking the public again, the Whitman taxpayers again, if they'd be willing to exclude the debt. And by January, we should have a good projection of not just what the cost would be from South Shore Tech, but on what the impact to our budget would be, whether it passes or fails. So, all that context, how does the January 25th, January 30th timeline sound to the board? John?
Sounds good.
Okay. Don?
Sounds good to me, but I would also like to discuss as soon as possible what our outreach is gonna be prior to that, right? If we're picking dates at the end of January, then we should also be, picking dates for when we're gonna have forums or discussion.
Yeah.
More so than just this meeting, right?
Yep.
What our real, because it's gotta be better than it was for the last ballot question.
Yeah.
So
Certainly agree. And Mary
I
Beth?
do feel that now there's a yes campaign that maybe
Yeah, so I did hear from a member of the public that intends to start a, yes on whatever ballot question 1, I guess, only one that day, committee, but speaking to the clerk, there needed to be a date for the election set.
so this would be the first step.
So this
and
would
then
be
we
the first step for that to be able to form. But totally agree with Don, when we had an operational override a couple of years ago, there was a concerted effort to inform the public on whether it passes or fails, this is the impact. And I do think we should put the same amount of effort into this question, invite Dr. Hickey back as often as he'd like to come.
as we saw on the slide, it's expensive, potential 2 million a year.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, in the those middle years, it gets quite expensive.
Yeah. And I would like to add, if I could, that I've always been a proponent of the level principal rather than level debt because of the savings. However, given that we have the Whitman Middle School, we have the DPW, we have a lot coming on now, we have not done another major project without it being a debt exclusion because it's so hard. We tried it with the police station, it didn't work. We did it outside the levy the first few years, and then we had to have a debt exclusion vote. So I would even be in favor of a level debt as opposed, which is unusual for me, but given the projects that we have and the impact to the taxpayers, it would be a little less of an impact.
I agree because there's also an interesting dynamic as our enrollment number decreases because there's a lag. That's why I was saying if we could speed that up a little bit, it'd be better for us. But there's a bit of a lag. So as our enrollment number decreases, it's kind of an offset to that what we're paying. So even though with a B level principal, we're paying less and less. So there seems to be a bit of a trade-off there that's advantageous to us.
And I do think that, we've done enough borrowing projects the last couple of years that I've spoken to Mary Beth about this one a few times. I do know that we do level payments on our water and sewer borrowing projects because, I believe we do, because that's how we assess the bills out to the public. So if you're borrowing, whatever, $30 million for a retrofit pump station, it's a lot easier to calculate customer bill impact on a level payment 20-year window or 5, whatever it is, however we borrow it. But that is easier to assess to the bills with a 9-town school district. Those same dynamics may come into play with fluctuating enrollments, and although it may benefit, there's less interest paid by the district as a whole on that level principal window. It may be, to Sean's point, it more closely matches up with enrollment if that is spread out a little bit, right? And the towns sending the most students are paying the most in a given year, rather than hitting the towns that had a blip in those middle years. So it's a strange dynamic with a 9-town regional school district.
I have a question.
Dawn and then Dan. Should be you two.
Speaking of the enrollment, I think it's important that I want to recognize Rosemary Ahana Hill when she was on our finance committee a couple years ago. The South Shore VOTEC regional agreement, the debt language said that this building project was going to lock in our debt payment at what our enrollment was a couple years ago, which was 25% population enrollment at the South Shore VOTEC school. So that conversation started from our Whitman Finance Committee and Rosemary Ahana Hill, and we together with asking Dr. Hickey at South Shore VOTEC, and he worked with his committee, and it came to all the towns, and the agreement was able to be amended. So now it's that 4-year rolling enrollment. So as much as we wish that we could bump it up a bit, at least we're not locked into that 25%, like we would have been for the term of this entire debt. So that is a huge savings, number one. And I was always a proponent with the Whitman Middle School. I was the outlier on level debt. which I always explained it as the equivalent of you and I, all our mortgages. I don't know anyone who has level principal mortgage where you would be paying the most and then it really drops. I have the same mortgage payment for 30 years, that principal and interest. It is smoothed out over 30 years, and yes, you know, you pay more interest, but it's predictable and it's stable. And I think with our taxpayers right now, that stability and that level debt payment is consistent, with the only variable being the enrollment that would change it. That's where I would be on that topic.
Thank you. So, do I have, I guess, what, Mary Beth, what are we going to vote? To set the dates?
I think we should vote to
Take
set
a
the
vote to set the
date.
dates.
Correct.
And then we'll do the formal call for a special election question down the line, but at least.
Correct, and
Yeah.
also open the warrant, close
And
the
open
warrant.
and
We
close
can
the
do
warrant
that
at
a
some
little
point
bit
in-
later,
but
but
at
for
least
this
to
evening, get
lock
this
in
on the
some
books.
dates and, yeah.
Correct.
Get the ball rolling. All right, so I will seek a motion to set the dates for a special town meeting on January 25th, 2027, and a special town election on January 30th, 2027.
Yes.
Is that correct?
That is.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Pick either one of them, Erica. All right. All those in favor? Aye. Unanimous. Thank you. All right, now into new business. Second page. Act to rescind the appointment of Mary Beth Carter from the position of Affirmative Action Representative, Auction Permit Agent, Bylaw Study Committee Member, Capital Committee Member, Claim Agent, Fair Housing Committee, Fair Housing Officer, and Assistant Parking Clerk effective September 5th, 2026.
No one says it, you gotta say on.
You will be our
Motion
assistant.
would regret.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. And seek a motion to appoint Sabrina Chilcott to the position of Affirmative Action Representative, Auction Permit Agent, Bylaw Study Committee Member, Capital Committee Member, Claim Agent, Fair Housing Committee, Fair Housing Officer, and Assistant Parking Clerk effective September 6th, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
Also on the Whitman Middle School Building Committee and the DPW Building Committee, which will be phasing out shortly, the Regional Agreement Committee, the Brockton Area Transit Finance Member, Brockton Area Transit General Board. So there are a few others, but we can deal with the transition on those at a future meeting. But these,
Some of those, I'll look at Ryan, some of those are appointed by the school committee or
Correct.
respective subcommittees of that school
Correct.
committee. So yeah,
Yeah.
we'll be sorting out,
Okay, yeah.
yeah, who to appoint
Well,
to
I
where
might
for a
not
while.
do it, so I can keep Mary Beth on.
All right, good to know.
no.
When did you have time for your day job?
I'm telling you.
Okay. Act to appoint Sabrina Chilcott as Whitman's representative to the Mayflower Municipal Health Group effective September 6th, 2026.
Any motion?
Yep.
Second. Second.
All right, all those in favor? Act to authorize Sabrina Chilcott to sign bill and payroll warrants effective September 6th, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? All right. Act on the request of Police Chief Timothy Hanlon to appoint Robert Small Jr. to the position of Auxiliary Special Police Officer through June 30th, 2027.
So moved.
Second.
Say or? I think we're okay, right?
Well, he wants to make a picture.
Come on up.
It doesn't need to.
Yeah. You're on for a couple of these.
Talk about both.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I sent my request, so Bob Small Jr. Was an auxiliary officer here back in the day, in the late 90s. He went on to pursue some other departments, Bridgewater State College at the time. He ultimately became chief of the Rochester Police Department, and he's since retired from there, so he's looking to come back where he started.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
And next, act on the request of Police Chief Timothy Hanlon to appoint Darvin Anderson to the position of Auxiliary Special Police Officer effective October 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2027. So,
moved.
Second.
and then anything on Darvin?
K-9 officer for Brockton. He's going to be retiring in October. So he's looking to come over here and do some details.
Great.
He's also helped us out on numerous occasions with the K-9 mutual aid, doing searches and whatnot.
And a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Thanks.
I need a motion to accept the resignation of Scott Youngstrom from the position of alternate member, Conservation Commission, effective August 18th, 2026.
Second.
All those in favor?
We definitely had a motion second on Darren Anderson.
Yes, we do. If not, we've got until October 1st to fix it. We did. Okay, thank you. Next, Assistant Town Administrator Matt Dyer, Town Newsletter. What up, Matt?
Good evening, everyone. Mr. Chair, members of the board. I just wanted to come by and share with you some exciting news. So one goal that we've been working towards as a board, as a town hall, is how do we improve our communication with residents, businesses alike throughout the community. And the simple answer is a newsletter. But we all know here in the town of Whitman, we have a very limited capacity for projects like this, and it's a huge undertaking to deliver a newsletter on an annual basis, whether it's weekly, bi-weekly, quarterly. But with a little bit of magic, a little bit of AI, and a little bit of community contribution, I have a great way to hopefully produce a newsletter starting off on a quarterly, maybe a monthly basis. And then as we ramp up, maybe it can go weekly and bi-weekly, but we'll do a slow rollout. And basically how this would work is there's two portals. There'd be a portal for the public and then one for town employees, where folks will be able to submit their announcement or their meeting or whatever it may be. And it will go to a portal where myself or a designee will go and click approve or deny. And there'll be another portal for town employees where it'll be just a really simple review just to make sure that everything's there. And then through automation, we'll be able to have it all go through Microsoft Office and do a layout, create a draft. You know, myself or another designee will do a quick review, and then it will pull all the calendar events from the website, and then put it all into this nice, neat form. So what I just passed out to you guys is one looks like a schematic, and it just kind of shows you that flow that I just described. And then there's another color copy in that packet that just kind of gives you a very quick preliminary draft. So right at the moment, I'm about 70%. And I hope in the fall to kind of ramp up and we'll start pushing out a way for folks to be able to subscribe. And will be pushed out through email. We'll print off some hard copies. So we'll go to the senior center as well as the library and a couple copies for town hall. Any questions? Great.
Good idea.
Yep, nope, I just wanted to come by and just give you a little bit glimmer of hope. So.
I think it's excellent, especially with the year that we're going to have. Really having active communication in like a stable way that doesn't have to be through Facebook is outstanding.
Matt, I do have a question. Do we collect resident email addresses somewhere? That would be the place to start.
Right. So my personal preference is I would say
Opt in.
to
probably.
opt in. I
Yep.
wouldn't want to be pulling emails if it's coming from water bills or excise tax or anything like that. I'd say you'd want to opt in rather than how did you get my information.
Okay, fair enough.
And we can help with that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Would that be something put on the town page and then people can go in and sign up?
Yeah,
that way?
absolutely. And then that was one thing I was working with our IT director, Josh O'Neill, is maybe creating another webpage on our town website so you can go back and look at all the archives. So,
And maybe once it is finalized, whatever the next mailing for water or sewer tax bill, then we could put an insert in there.
QR code
When it-
scan to sign up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good idea.
just information.
That's a good idea.
We can
Yeah.
put a buck slip, just a third of the page in with the bill, then no
Yeah.
extra cost for postage or anything, if
Yeah,
that's
little
all you're adding.
leaflet insert that
Yeah.
will say it, but thank
Yeah.
you so much for working on this, Matt. 'Cause
Yeah, no, nope, I'm really excited, and there's a couple more projects in the pipeline that I'll be coming back to present on at a later time.
Yeah. No, and I love the opportunity for people to submit items, right? So you're not trying to go reach and say, what did I miss or something, so.
Exactly,
Wonderful.
yep, so, yep, from both the public sector, so like Art in the Park, they could submit it.
Yeah.
And then, or if someone on conservation wanted to share the minutes from the last meeting, it can pop up there as well. And then the really cool part about it would be down at the bottom, as you can see, would just be the list of all the upcoming meetings. Those are pulled from the town website, so there's no extra work having to be done. And folks will be able to just click and then be added right to your iPhone or your computer or wherever you keep your calendar. So I'm hoping we don't ever hear again, oh, I didn't know about that meeting, when it's right there in your inbox. So.
Yeah, and do you envision that the submissions from the town could be anything, whether it's a business having a special or a restaurant or the religious organizations promoting and youth sports? Like, where are you seeing this going?
Yeah, so how I envision it, it wouldn't necessarily be advertising of any sort of like, oh, come on down for your 2 dinners for $50 or anything like that. But perhaps it would be more of, we could do a business highlight.
Okay.
Of like, hey, this is why I picked my business to set up here in Hanson or here in Whitman, and this is why I'm here. This is what we have to offer. More than
Almost like a spotlight.
a spotlight,
Business
yeah.
spotlight.
And then you could do that with community members, or if there are other organizations here in the town, like the food pantry, that might want to highlight, hey, Thanksgiving's coming up. It's a really special time to give to the food pantry.
Excellent.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
All right, next item, discuss process for issuing proclamations, commendations, citations. So this was really specific to Eagle Scouts, why it was on the agenda, but I know that we don't always have to vote proclamations, commendations, citations. It has to be signed by the members of the board, is the past practice. And particularly for Eagle Scouts, where the presentation is at the Court of Honor, the board's past practice has been, Lori O'Brien receives a request, drafts one up, the board stops by the office to sign it at some point, and then a member of the board or the town administrator goes to the Court of Honor to read the proclamation presented and hand it to, congratulate the Eagle Scout on their accomplishment. I think for the sake of these don't always come in timely with our meetings, I'd like to keep the practice the same, but I do want to offer that up this is how it's run in the past. And rather than drag students out here to our meetings, we'll go to their events. So, Dan? Yep.
I think that if an Eagle Scout project helps the town, right, like building something or repairing something, whatever, they can make the presentation probably to
Oh, yeah.
the Board of Selectmen. Like my son did all the hydrants in the town of Whitman. He made a presentation. The young lady that built that down the Colebrook Boulevard,
Samantha Camden.
right?
Yeah.
She made a presentation.
Yeah.
The young gentleman that put that sign up, up Pine Street, by the pond there.
Oh, the message board?
Yeah, the message board. I mean, he made a presentation.
Yeah.
Something like that. The one that's going to get the Eagle Scout project now is he did something for the schools. Well, I assume that the school maybe had say something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I don't mean to be exclusive. We
Right.
always invite
Yeah.
students to present, the Eagle Scouts to present their projects.
and
But
I've always done 59. Frank Lannon used to do 22 because his son was in it, and my son was in 59. So, I'll be glad to do the presentation.
yeah, no, that's good.
Yeah,
So,
I
yeah.
agree. Just as long as they're welcome to come here and give
Yeah,
the presentation if they like,
Yeah.
but don't feel obligated to, and then we would send a representative to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And on that, we did get an email, so we included it on the agenda. find it, we do have a proclamation for Adam Harden for his Eagle Scout Court of Honor. Read this and send it along to the board. So, whereas Adam C. Harden has dedicated himself to the values of scouting and has, through his devotion and determination, achieved the rank of Eagle Scout, the highest honor bestowed in scouting. And whereas Adam C. Harden serves as a role model to youth everywhere, displayed by his loyal service to and love of God, his country, his family and friends, and his community. And whereas the Select Board, on behalf of all residents of Whitman, expresses sincere gratitude to Adam C. Harden for his contribution to the community, which assisted him in achieving his goal of Eagle Scout, specifically supporting the Whitman-Hanson Regional High School Music Department, raising funds and accepting donated materials in order to construct a conductor's podium and a music folder cabinet for the band room, as well as donating the remaining funds to the music department for the purchase of additional music. And whereas Adam C. Harden has brought honor not only to himself, but to his family, fellow scouts, and the community as well. And whereas the Select Board wishes Adam C. Harden continued success in all his future endeavors, we hereunto set our hands and the town seal on this 25th day of August 2026 at Whitman, Massachusetts, and it's got space for all of our signatures. So we will pass this down. Dawn?
Thank you. And I just wanted to mention Adam's mom had reached out to me about this, so thank you for putting it on the agenda. And he was invited to come tonight, but he had other commitments. It is his birthday today.
Happy
So
birthday, Adam.
So, and the event is this Saturday at 1 o'clock at the First Congregational Church Hall.
Correct.
And Mr. Chairman, I believe there's another one in the folder that, since we're not going to,
Since we're not going to take a
require
vote, we may as well read it.
correct, it doesn't have to go on a future agenda, so if we could address that one as well, that would be wonderful.
Yes. So the board also has a request for a proclamation for, whereas Cooper Preskins has dedicated himself to the values of scouting and has, through his devotion and determination, achieved the rank of Eagle Scout, the highest honor bestowed in scouting. And whereas Cooper Preskins serves as a role model to youth everywhere, displayed by his loyal service to and love of God, his country, his family and friends, and his community. And whereas the Select Board, on behalf of all residents of Whitman, expresses sincere gratitude to Cooper Preskins for his contribution to the community, which assisted him in achieving his goal of Eagle Scout, specifically constructing new benches for a local youth soccer program, providing safe, durable seating for players, coaches, families, and spectators, organizing the entire project from fundraising, coordinating the volunteers, and managing materials. And whereas Cooper Preskins has brought honor not only to himself, but to his family, fellow scouts, and the community as well. And whereas the Select Board wishes Cooper Preskins continued success in all his future endeavors, we hereunto set our hands on the town seal on this 25th day of August 2026 at Whitman, Massachusetts. So this is Troop 22. So we can sort out who's going to go to what Court of Honor after this. But yeah, it needs to be here for the board to sign. Sound good?
Yep, great.
All right.
Thank you.
Who's gonna do the 22?
We'll sort it out after the meeting. Act to renew the public entertainment on Sunday license for Indian River Associates, Inc., doing business as the Patio at Martini's, 552 Washington Street. Seek a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mary Beth, do we know what happened to their Sunday license?
No, I don't have an update on that. I'm sure that it's just in the packet here. That was
I have it
just
here,
part
yeah.
of the amendment
Okay.
to renew it.
Yeah, just to renew it.
Yeah, that's all it is. It's just
Okay.
a renewal.
All right. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. We have already set meeting schedule. So, budget update. Vote to request DLS to create a financial policy manual for the town. Jen, did you want to speak on that, or someone on the board?
I reached out to Zach Blake at the DLS, and we had discussed, well, when we were doing our budget subcommittee meetings, we were going through Rockland's policy manual, kind of pulling it apart, making edits to what made sense for our town. And to me, it made more sense, rather than pulling it apart, to reach out to the DLS and see if they could do something for Whitman. The DOR field reps had came out and they do like a annual, I don't know, meeting just to see where everyone's at for the tax rate set, see if any towns need help. And I had talked to them about it, and they said that Zach Blake over at the DLS and his team does a good job at putting something together for a town, dependent on what they're looking for, and to reach out to him. And basically, I just asked basic questions. I asked what areas are typically covered in their financial policy manuals, what extent the manual can be customized to the specific needs and priorities of the town, what the typical turnaround time is, and what does the process generally involve. He got back to me and he said he had attached kind of like the boilerplate template so I could take a look at it. And he said it's a fairly comprehensive document that outlines what areas are covered. We do offer to customize the template based on the interviews we have with local finance officials, select board, and finance committee members. The typical turnaround time is about a month or 2 months from the start date. However, now we're booking out projects into midwinter. To make a request, all we need is a vote of the select board seeking our assistance in developing the manual. And then he just went on to say, alternatively, they're working on coming up with some sort of manual workshop for local officials in the fall, but they haven't finalized that far yet. So, yeah.
I guess directed to the budget subcommittee members up here. Does that make sense to you to seek the support of DLS? Okay.
Oh, sure.
Sean, yeah.
Yeah, I want to thank Jen for reaching out to the DLS and DOR, and I feel that that is absolutely should be the first step. So I'm all in favor of making that motion.
Yeah, it's outstanding. Thank you. Yeah, it was great feedback.
Yeah. All right. So do we have a motion to request DLS to create a financial policy manual for the town of Whitman?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. And I think we'll ask Jen to spearhead that and work with the budget subcommittee when we have something back in. Thank you. All right. Budget update, FY 2028 preliminary budget. Mary Beth.
Okay.
Very preliminary budget.
Very preliminary, and we usually don't put a preliminary budget together this early, and for many reasons, because a lot of the key drivers of the budget are not finished yet. So I'll just go through just some of the points that I had typed up here. Some general facts on the fiscal 28 budget. The fiscal year 2026 books should be closed by the accountant in September. So on this preliminary budget document that you all should have, I did put a preliminary expended column for fiscal year 2026. I always look at that every year. I look at what was spent, what was expended the previous year, and when I get into the budgets and it's December, January, November, December, January, I'm looking at where each department is mid-year as well. So what they spent in previous years and where they are when we're actually in the middle of the fiscal year. Free cash will be calculated in October and will hopefully be certified in October as well. Budget requests usually are sent to department heads with the due date of November 1st. That's the normal timeline. First, we send out emails, the town administrator's office, to get capital. That usually goes out at the beginning of September, due October 1st. And then we have the budget request goes out, and that's usually due around the first part of November. The assessor's classification hearing is expected to be scheduled in November this year, and the tax rate should be set by early December. As a previous treasurer collector, I always needed to have the file by the 12th to 15th, so we like to get that tax rate set and plenty of time to get the bills out the door before the end of December. The first excise commitment for 2027 should be received in January of 2027, and that is usually due. We try to hold off instead of, having it due when the real estate bill third quarter is due. We have it due after that. So mid-January due mid-February or so. But that's important because the first excise commitment each year is the largest commitment that we put out for excise. And that really does indicate, where we might land for our local receipts for excise. So for excise bills, every time you put a car on the road or take a car off the road, another excise bill is generated when you put one on the road. So we get what's called several commitments throughout the year. However, it's that first commitment that is the largest. So we look for that as a big budgeting item. We wait for that to come out to see how that compared to the previous year. The new trash, we have a contract for trash, and I have a meeting later this week. The contract is 3 years, and then you have an extension for a couple of years. We have that coming up, that meeting, and then the DPW will determine, they'll do a calculation to see where they feel the rates should be set, and the board will vote on that later this fall. But that, again, is another receipt that we look to for budgeting purposes. As far as revenue summary assumptions, I used a new growth figure of 310,000 for fiscal year 2028. In fiscal year 2027, we used 425,000. I had a chance today to speak with our assessor, Jackie Nalehi. She feels comfortable at this point with 310,000. Again, we tweak these numbers as we move through the budget cycle, but just at this early stage of the game, we're putting in 310,000. I used a total of 434,528 towards the budget from free cash. We don't like to use free cash for the budget. However, we did have that free cash policy that says we will put 140,000 of free cash each year for the next few years to OPEB. So 140, that 434,528 is made up of 140,000 for OPEB from our policy, 200,000 towards Plymouth County retirement. That's part of the policy. And then the remaining, there was the next balance would take 10% of what was left and put it in general stabilization and 10% into capital. Last year, we did tweak that policy and put that 10,000 into the general fund. Of course, our free cash has not been certified. We don't know what that will be. Last year it was $1,058,000. I'm thinking it will be higher this year. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know yet. So I use the same 10% of 94,528.17 that we used last year. So those three numbers I infused into the revenue tab of the budget. I factored in 140,000 as a transfer from OPEB. If you remember last year, we put 388,000 into the budget to help pay our health insurance and life insurance town match portion of the bill. And we budget, that's a big budget line for us. We use 388,000 to offset that. We're taking that from our OPEB account. They told us last year when we talked to PCOT, Plymouth County OPEB Trust, that they said certainly you can do that 1 year. After that, you really shouldn't take out more than what you're putting in. So we are putting in 140,000. We will charge up to 140,000 of retirees' health insurance premiums to that and get reimbursed from PCOT. So we put that into the budget. For the Whitman Hanson assessment, we don't get that information usually until March when that's actually certified. Hopefully we'll know, sometime in February or so where that's heading for the amount. In fiscal 28, we've been told that assessment will include the non-mandated busing. Dr. Marcus has said that will be rolled into the assessment. So just for something to put in the budget, I just put in, I took the non-mandated busing from 27, I added it to the assessment, and I applied the same increase that we had last year, which was the 4.58%. Although we know that we have to put in the budget what is certified by the district, and we have to put in the South Shore Tech what is certified. South Shore Votech, I talked to Tom Hickey yesterday, and he said just to level fund because our enrollment will be down. And then we find, down the road, if it's less, we'll adjust the budget accordingly. The Norfolk Aggie and Bristol Aggie amounts were calculated just using a straight 5% increase. And we just have to keep in mind with those schools that even when we get to May, we do not know the enrollment. So they're still accepting students right up through June, July. So even when we vote the number, we don't know where enrollment will fall. Let's see. So I had said that the expended budget amounts have not been finalized by the town accountant yet. Once she closes the books, we can update that column. Plymouth County Retirement Association assessments, they're not out yet. When they do come out, they'll come out for 28 and 29. They come out for 2 years at a time. The actuary has done their work. I spoke with the Plymouth County Retirement, so now the actuary is breaking out all the town's assessments, and they think that information should be ready in about 2 to 3 weeks. The Mayflower Municipal Health Group insurance rates will not be finalized for several months. That's usually February or March. I put a placeholder increase in of 10%. I checked with Tom O'Brien, and he said 10% is a good, they'll try to beat that and make him in at 9 or so, but we did put 10 in. Union salaries were calculated per the collective bargaining agreements. They range from 2 to 2.5%. Non-union salaries, I just put in a 2.5% salary increase, unless a contract dictated otherwise. Some boards and committees you'll see on this document, I just level funded. I didn't put a salary increase because say the line was $1,000 and they only spent, $100. There's room in there for them to still give an increase without us adding more to that line. And then all salary lines will be calculated and verified by the accountant's office. I did take just the general expense line for each department, and I calculated that using the Department of Revenue recommended 3% increase. The fiscal year 2028 water and sewer budget was not included in any budget reductions or percentages that I calculated because it really doesn't have an effect on the net general budget. We always pull out the water and sewer first. So as I had said before, with the South Shore VOTEC debt exclusion, all of the town's major building projects have been supported in the past with the debt exclusion, including the Whitman-Hanson Regional High School, the police station, the new DPW building, and the new Whitman Middle School. So the debt that will be incurred for the new South Shore VOTEC without a debt exclusion, it will have a significant detrimental, really, effect on the budget for fiscal 28 and future years if we do not pass the debt exclusion. So in fiscal 2028, the preliminary draft budget scenario, the South Shore VOTEC new school debt was entered. I did put it into the budget, but just for this scenario, I entered it as a debt exclusion, which means it has a net effect, a net zero effect on the budget. So the current hypothetical fiscal 2028 deficit without factoring in a failed South Shore VOTEC debt exclusion, if it does fail again, is currently at $996,355. If the South Shore VOTEC debt exclusion fails in January, the impact to each budget line will be approximately doubled what I calculated here. So basically what I did is I put all the information into the budget, and then I calculated exactly what percent of every budget line correlated with the net general fund. I came up with a percentage, and I took our deficit and I applied that percentage. So it would show every single line what we would need to cut. The issue is it's not that clear cut and easy. There are certain lines that you absolutely cannot touch, you cannot cut. You can't cut our Plymouth County Retirement, you can't cut the Veterans Benefits line, you can't cut our Mayflower Municipal Health Group line, our insurance line. So there are a lot of lines that you can't cut. those reductions would have to be reallocated somewhere else. So in this budget document, I did not calculate cuts on any particular line. I just put at the bottom of each department what the percentage cut comes out to and the dollar equivalent of that, just as a starting point. I mean, we certainly do not want to say at this point in the game in August that we're looking to cut this particular line or position, and then we get in our free cash and it's higher, or our excise commitment and it's much better. There are so many factors that just haven't come in yet, haven't been decided. So this at least will give a start for the budget. We're at about $1 million negative right now for a deficit, and the South Shore Boat Tech is $1,098,000. So you're talking $2 million if the South Shore Boat Tech does not pass, $1 million if it does pass. But these are with very, very conservative estimates that the accountant's office has put in for local receipts, as we did last year, because the year before we pushed everything so hard, and it was very difficult at the end of the year to make it all tie out.
I have a question. Sure. Did you estimate an increase in the DPW's power, electric? Because it's a bigger building now.
Right, so we did last year,
Okay.
and so, but I did see that at the end of the year, when you look at this expend column, you'll see that some spent over what they had, because we have this omnibus budget now that we really vote at town meeting for each department, a salary line, an expense line. They are able to, each department head has the flexibility that if they go over one particular budget line, and they have that savings in another.
Right.
But we will look
Yeah.
at that again for the DPW. That was an adjustment that we made at budget time to increase, and we may have to do that again. So no, I didn't factor in an
I remember
increase.
Bruce saying that the power, the electric.
They did, Bruce and
So,
Dave. I talked to both of them on that. And so and looking at how much they went over last year, they were able to move money around within their budget. However, we may need to address that. So this is just simply saying, and what I did for the budget is I did 2.5 for non-union employees. The unions pretty much are at 2.5. I level funded everything else except for the general expense line. I added a 3% increase. And with that, that puts us at $1 million deficit, $995,000 at the moment, until all of these,
So we should,
until the key drivers come in and we have real numbers to put in.
John? Well, it's terrible news.
Sorry.
I think it's, if the debt exclusion passes, right now we're looking at $1 million deficit. It's really difficult to swallow. I mean, to put it in perspective, where you're talking about new growth, you're looking at about $300,000 new growth. Maybe that's a bit conservative, but $300,000. Just on the one line, Plymouth County Retirement now, it's about $4 million, the line. So the increase over last year is all of our new growth. So just that one line, Plymouth County Retirement, if it goes up 7 to 10%, which it likely will, that's what they're telling us, 10% of $4 million is $400,000. That would be all the new growth that we're projecting just for that one line.
Right.
I mean, to show you just how I think more people need to be paying attention to Plymouth County Retirement and how it's really killing our budget. And also, it's great for us to see the list of assumptions that you came up with. And, you know, some of those are old assumptions that we've been using for a number of years. But a number of those will likely get tweaked a little bit as we go through the policy revision. I'm sure they'll take some of those into consideration and why we use them. But as we get the updated policy back, we'll have to decide, do we tweak that policy? Do we keep it? But
You made me think of something, if I just can add on to that. The Whitman Middle School project, and I'm on that committee, and the project has been accelerating, and paying, charging invoices that we're paying that are ahead of the cash flow projection that they had given us. And that's very important because we borrow how much money we need for a ban or a bond for a project. We don't borrow it all at once usually. And we base what we need to borrow based on the cash flow the project gives us. So they are ahead of schedule. So because I was retiring and, Deb's been in the position as treasurer for a little over a year now, I wanted to take the revised cash flow. I asked the committee for that, the OPM. They sent us a revised cash flow. I had a meeting with Deb O'Brien, Jen Argenti, myself, Ben Oglesby. He's the same financial advisor that Tom Hickey's using on their project, which is great. But we had them run a scenario, and I have it set up that every single month Deb will take the amount of money that she's given to put on the warrant for bills and any MSBA reimbursements that come in. And we're going to put that into the system. Deb will put that into the system, and it will show her whether or not we need a bridge loan. I had referenced that if they're spending ahead of their cash flow, then they might run out of money.
Which in a sense is a good thing because they're ahead of schedule with the building project.
It's a good thing, but yet they're going to run out of money, and then if they can't pay their contractors, it's not a good thing if they're suing us. So, we have to just make sure that they have the money, but we only borrow money on their cash flow.
Sure.
So they were exceeding their cash flow. We did the scenario last week, and it looks like we're going to be okay. However, we have to watch it each month. We may need to go out for, and it actually wouldn't even be a bond anticipation note. It would be a state house loan. Note is what we're thinking for a very short loan for just a couple of months to get us to the March maturity date. But one thing that did come up in that conversation is we are going out as a town, since we took over that borrowing, for the next 3 or 4 years to renew bans, to bond money. And he said, you do not want to draw down any of your reserves. Like, you don't want to touch, even if you change your financial policy, taking money out of a stabilization fund is not going to be looked upon favorably by the rating agencies. Even if you said, well, I took a 5% and now it's 3%, ooh, we can take a little stable. You're drawing down on your reserves, and that's not looked upon favorably. He said, especially while Moody's is evaluating you because you took on the debt for the district, and now you have self-insured debt that you're still, paying. We didn't take the loan out directly, but Moody's is looking at all those indicators. So I just we're keeping an eye to see if we need any short loan, but we have to be careful we don't drain our reserves.
Yeah, we're faced with a 996,000 deficit, and we know that our neighbors and ourselves are facing affordability issues too out there, and we know that they voted no on an override last year. So I think the message is clear to manage your budget within your means, right? What's your revenue, and your expenses need to stay within your revenue. We're gonna have to work really hard at that. I just have one question.
Sure.
But it revolves around Plymouth County retirement assessment, and our recent retirees in town, including yourself. When we get the assessment from Plymouth County, there is a component that we're assessed for our regular retirees, right? And then there's this unfunded liability portion. Do they break that out? Like, is there a way to know what is the portion of our actual retirees in this Plymouth County assessment versus this additional?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's like,
I'm not going to ask you for that number, but
no. But when we pay off, everyone's saying get through 2031, and our unfunded liability will
that
be
extra bill we're getting.
What will happen is in future years on a go forward basis, we'll still have what's called the normal costs,
Okay.
which will be about 10% of what we're paying now.
Okay.
So 3.8 million,
Okay. So my question is also, as I mentioned, around recent retirees. So we know Fire Chief Clancy retired, Assistant Town Administrator Kathy Keefe, you're
Bruce
retiring,
Martin.
Bruce Martin retired, and Officer Stokinger retired, maybe a couple others, but it feels like a significant number. So I just want to be able to gauge and really at some point get into the weeds a bit on how are those retirements also impacting additional costs, right? Would that be increasing the Plymouth County retirement assessment,
So the Plymouth County Retirement
as well as
Assessment.
OPEB, right? Because you're gonna get OPEB.
Right, Plymouth County Retirement Assessment, they say as a whole, won't go up more than 8%, but they'll say, well, why are we at 10.8, or why are we at, 12%? Because then it's broken out, that actuary breaks down the assessment for each town based on what they give. So some towns might have a wage freeze, some might give a 4%, some give a 2% COLA. And all of those, how old were the people when you hired them? If you're hiring older employees, then there's a higher cost with that. So when we get our assessment, it is tailored specifically to our data. But yes, and they can, when that report comes in, there'll be one page for each town that will give a lot of good information, but then we probably could even get more.
Yeah, because there've
if you
been
wanna
years
get to
where
the
we've had
weeds.
longevity, right? Staff has stayed with us and that's great, but this feels like a large turnover year and I just wonder if that, we need to talk about every little bit that's going up,
You're
right?
moving
and
those theoretical
recognize it.
unfunded pensions over to the now recurrent cost side of the ledger.
True,
So
yeah,
it's
that's true too.
yeah.
And another thing to consider too is that years ago, when people were hired, 30 years ago, they were only paying in, say, 5%. Then they changed it to 7, then 8, then 9, and now it's 9 plus 2. So all of our employees now are paying the correct amount. But we still have retirees right now that are collecting that only paid 5% into the system. So, but everybody that's been hired at the 9.2, they're really paying what they should be. That unfunded liability really is for all of the people that didn't pay in the full amount that everyone else is now.
And we're
So-
living longer. so
Right, we are,
they're being paid
and that's
longer.
another big factor,
Okay, thank you for.
which is a good thing.
Yeah.
So let me just take a quick look at this. So I had said I did across the board cuts here, just to show you what it would look like for each department based on their percent of the total budget. However, you will notice as you look at this, that some of the departments have a reduction based on their percent that is larger than their little expense line. So I mean, they couldn't even really cut from one line what they need to. Say it's a $1,600 cut or whatever, but their expense line is only $1,200. You know what I mean? But they have other lines. So there'll be some tough decisions down the road, but I think that it's inappropriate right now to even suggest anything more definite until we get in the hard facts on these. And I just want to make sure that one of the most important things to me is that I don't think it's a year that we would be looking at adding any additional staff, looking at this. But I just want to acknowledge and make sure that we retain the great staff that we have. The past 3.5 years, especially in town hall, we've rebuilt the team here, and I look at the team and how everybody interacts, and I look at the towns around us, and my gosh, horror stories, and I hear it every day, and we want to keep these people because they are honest, hardworking, good team players, and they're going to bring our town forward, so I want to keep that in mind too.
And you'll pass this preliminary budget draft assumptions on to Sabrina.
It's in her inbox now.
Excellent.
I've been emailing you all week.
She's not even here.
I've been emailing her, she has an address.
All right, thank you. Next item, committee updates, budget subcommittee. Is there still something to address after the policy?
Just minor,
Sure.
made a decision, and informed Sean, we were just gonna pause the budget subcommittee, maybe for 4 to 6 weeks during this town administrator transition. And then, our town accountant came up with the idea to reach out for the financial policy, so, that's pretty much on pause right now, and we'll revisit it when needed. In the financial reserves policy, we did as a subcommittee refer it to this board, so you're welcome to still read that, get, in tune with it as the DLS comes on board and, brings us the template. Bye, team. That's it, Chair. Thanks.
Thank you. And turn to the town administrator report. I realized I forgot one of our proclamations. So Mary Beth, if you don't mind, I'm going to hijack the town administrator report. So, proclamation. Whereas Mary E. Carter is retiring from the position of town administrator for the town of Whitman, effective September 5th, 2026, after over 23 years of devoted service, beginning as a clerk in the collector's office in 2003, then being appointed as temporary collector in 2005, before being elected as town collector in 2006, and prior to taking the two roles being combined into one position, taking on the role of town treasurer in 2009 before moving on to another municipality in 2022, and eventually returning to Whitman in 2023 to take on the role of town administrator. And whereas Mary E. Carter has served the town honorably, faithfully, efficiently, and with dedication, and has carried out her duties in a manner that is a credit not only to herself, but to the town of Whitman as well. And whereas the valued services and untiring devotion of Mary E. Carter have not gone unnoticed or unappreciated, and she will be sincerely missed by her retirement. And whereas the Select Board, on behalf of a grateful community, does hereby commend Mary E. Carter for services rendered to the town, and whereas the Select Board, on behalf of the citizens of the town of Whitman, extends heartfelt gratitude to Mary E. Carter and wishes her many years of good health and happiness in her retirement and any future endeavors she wishes to pursue. We hereunto set our hands in the town seal on the 25th day of August, 2026, at Whitman, Massachusetts. Nice. Thank you.
Congratulations.
You dipped in.
Wow, yes, wow, thank you. Okay.
So, it's a great band.
Yes, onto the Kratom Band. Okay. So I received notification from the Board of Health, Dan Kelly, that on August 13th, 2026, the Commissioner of the Massachusetts Department of Public Health signed an order pursuant to Massachusetts General Law, MGL, Chapter 94C, subsection 2A, designating kratom as defined in the order as a Schedule I controlled substance. Under MGL, Chapter 94C, subsection 34, it is unlawful to possess or sell a Schedule I controlled substance without a Massachusetts Controlled Substances Registration, MCSR. Accordingly, as of the effective date of the order, the possession, distribution, or sale of kratom in Massachusetts is illegal, and any person in violation is subject to imprisonment or fine. Pursuant to MGL, Chapter 94C, subsection 2A, municipalities are authorized to take enforcement action against licensed commercial establishments that continue to sell kratom. Enforcement actions include, but are not limited to, cease and desist notices, citations, and suspension of municipal licenses or permits, including permits to operate. Beginning on the order's effective date, August 28th, 2026, these enforcement actions may be undertaken by authorized municipal agents, including local Board of Health officials and inspectional services personnel. The order may remain in effect for up to 1 calendar year from its effective date through August 28th of 2027. So, Dan, his plan is on the 27th to stop into all tobacco retailers and make sure that it is off the shelves. As on the 28th, the ban is in effect. And I believe he was speaking with Deputy Chief Bombardier on this issue as well. So a letter did go out already from the Board of Health to all the retailers. So then he'll go around, make sure it's off the shelves. But I just wanted to update you on that. And I do have a couple of other items, if that's okay. So I think that we may want to have an update from Dave LeMay or Kevin Cleary. Is Dave here? This is on the Abington emergency water issue.
You guys want to go? You get all the facts. Thank you for sticking around.
I get all the facts. David Way, Water Sewer Superintendent. So just a real quick. So last Friday, late afternoon, Abington Rockland Joint Water Works reached out to us. They are in a water emergency. They are very low. They have from what I understand, less than 2 feet of potable water in the reservoir. So they reached out to other communities to try to connect to theirs with their engineers. Their water hydraulics, however they would do it, was they weren't available. So Brockton told them to reach out to Whitman, which they did. And then we went out there late Friday afternoon and they did everything and they were able to connect with all to do all the connections. So all the hydraulics worked and everything. So with getting a hold of local authorities and personnel and everything by Friday night, we got the approval from all local and state agencies to be able to do the connection. MWRA and Rain to Rent came in Saturday morning with all the equipment and they got everything all hooked up on by late, kind of early Saturday evening. So that's what is going on right now. As of right now, I had early this afternoon, I had a meeting with Pat Hill, who's the commissioner out of Brockton, and I was asking the questions that Whitman, Brockton has enough water to supply Whitman, Abington, and Rockland with no issues. So as of right now, Whitman's basically going to end up being used as the transmission line from Brockton to Abington and Rockland. All the proper equipment was installed. We installed a water meter at that interconnection also. So what Brockton's going to do is just deduct that usage off of ours. And Brockton will deal with Abington and Rockland directly. So that's kind of where we stand as of right now.
Any questions from the board? Don?
Where's the connection?
The connection is on Bedford Street. It's right at the Whitman Abington line on Bedford Street, almost across from the KSC. It's right on the side of the road. They have a pump. We had check valves. We get the water meter. Everything's up there. All that equipment also will be maintained by Abington and Rockland also.
Okay.
It's above ground.
Yeah, it's all.
It's a hydrant to a hydrant connection.
Oh, it is. Okay. Okay. What else did I think? I know I have another question somewhere.
Dave, do we have an estimate how long you think it's going to last?
Actually, they do not have, Abington Rockland do not have an estimate of how long. Pat Hill from Brockton said that we got plenty of water to last us for a while. I said, obviously, the above ground connection is going to have to get taken down eventually because it's going to get cold. So I'm sure they'll come up with a solution. As I get updated from Abington, Rockland, or Brockton, I will obviously pass it on.
Yeah. Sure. So the other, you said Abington contacted other communities to connect.
Yeah.
They border Brockton, so is there no ability for them to connect right there?
It was more of the water hydraulics, how the flow goes and the pressures where they both connect to see if they can actually push the water into Abington. I'm not sure on it, but they had an engineer there doing all the stuff to make sure that it was done.
I can explain it for gas, but yeah, I'm not a water engineer.
When it comes to flows and pressure and stuff, it's probably pretty close to the same.
Yeah, Mary Beth.
And I just want to mention that I was on a call with Dave and our attorney drawing up an intermunicipal agreement.
Yes, we did have a meeting with town council to, the progress with an agreement, but like, as I said, Brockton's gonna take over the billing part of it, so.
So will there be a
Yeah, so
need
what's
for
gonna
still
happen
an
is,
agreement? I would still think.
Brockton reads their meter every 3 months, so what's gonna happen is when they read that meter, we read that meter, and the usage off of that will come off to what our usage is. And then they'll deal with Abington and Rockland directly.
But the agreement still may be necessary, just saying that we're.
Yeah, it just,
making
yeah,
this
yeah, we're still gonna
still-
progress, but yeah, we're still.
But I mean,
moving on.
Municipal,
Right.
the
I wanna make-
mutual aid
Agreement.
type.
Yeah, it's a mutual aid
Right.
agreement.
Yeah. One of the biggest questions we had was the billing.
Right.
And obviously we got the answer to that.
We
That
got the- I
Brockton's
got
just
the
gonna
answer.
bill Abington,
Even
Rockland.
better.
It worked out well. I
We're
reached
not
out to Pat
involved.
this
It would
morning.
just make it
and
easier for us too.
I was able to meet with him early this afternoon, so it worked out well. I was trying to get answers before this meeting tonight, so.
Rosemary had a question. Do you mind just getting up to the mic?
I can get it from right there.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing this. It's so important that we help our neighbors particularly with vital things like water. But I did have a question. I think you came in last time and we talked about how much water we're able to draw before it may cost a little bit more, I believe, or the amounts that we have allocated to us.
That was on the sewer.
That was sewer.
Oh, that was just sewer, yeah.
Two separate
But is there an
departments.
amount that we have allocated? So we could have unlimited amounts? Okay, thank
We have
you.
unlimited amounts of water.
Okay, perfect. That's all?
We have.
It's the wastewater.
We have more than
Yeah.
all three communities going.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much.
And that would be the, Brockton has at least rights to a desalination plant, which
Correct.
they can just dial up if they need to.
I think my only other thought is that with additional water going through us as literally a pass through, I'm wondering if there would be additional deterioration in our pipes, if we're talking about, for months or extended periods of time.
No, they really, actually, it works pretty well. It'll help clean. It'll be one less flushing system that.
We're flushing the hydrant
Don't
24/7.
tell them that. Okay.
It'll keep everything moving, circulate,
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. And I guess back to the town administrator report. Thanks, guys.
I just have one other item, National Grid. So
Yes.
the town, actually, I received a call from Michelle O'Toole last week about a text she had received from National Grid saying that there was going to be a planned power outage. Well, come to find out, we did get to the bottom of it, and there is going to be a planned power outage, and it's due to that mixed use building across the street on South Avenue where they're going to be putting in a pole. But they are planning on 1,400 residents and businesses, customers will be affected. They haven't set the new date. It actually was for September 1st. Which is the first day of school for teachers. It's the election here. The outage will be from 10 p.m. to 10 a.m. It's scheduled for 12 hours. They've told me that they expect it will probably, be 8 or 9 or so, but they do use the 12-hour window. They're looking to reschedule it for possibly a weekend. Dennis McCaffrey, the town's rep, had said possibly even on Labor Day. So once we have the date, IT will, we'll push that out, we'll put it on our website, but it is going to be, they consider it to be a large power outage. It will affect Duval School, Regal Street, so it's 1,400 people approximately, and it is 17 streets, South Avenue, and then all the
Most
streets.
of Commercial Street, South Avenue,
Yeah.
and almost all the streets off about half of Franklin Street. It's a lot.
It is a lot, so not sure. We did, yesterday, we asked, when, they haven't set that date yet. But the National Grid has said that they're only required to notify, to give 7 days notice. I'm sure that's the minimum, but the sooner we know, we can put that out to everybody because it's a pretty big outage. But hopefully, through the evening, it won't, we didn't want it to impact schools, the election, there's no real good time.
10 p.m. to 10 a.m. would have affected the opening of the first day of school.
Correct.
So, yeah.
Correct. And Dr. Marcus definitely does not want that. So and then we're going to push it off to the 2nd, and I'm like, it's still the first week of school. So they're shooting now, looking for a weekend. Okay. That's all I have.
That exhausts the open session of the agenda. So I need to seek a motion to go into 2 consecutive executive sessions. The first, I guess we'll do I'm actually going to take them in reverse. So the first will be pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body, and the chair so declares, for the Provisional Deputy Fire Chief MOA. And then the second, pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A2, to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel, or to conduct collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-union personnel for the Provisional Deputy Fire Chief. So, do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All right, roll call vote.
Yes.
Yes. Exceptions, we will return only to adjourn.
I'm sorry.